So cell structure and functions. So this is a chapter which deals on cell and its organelles and the various functions of these organelles. So basically we know that cell is a unit of life, and this cell was first discovered by Leeuwenhoek, a live cell. So this a live cell was observed first by Leeuwenhoek. Then later, after the discovery of the cell, he actually did not explain the importance of the cell, the parts of the cell, and also their functions. So after some years, so actually it was two German scientists, Schwann and Schleiden. So these two scientists, Schwann, Theodor Schwann, a botanist, and Schleiden, a zoologist. So they together proposed the cell theory. Now, according to the cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cells. Now, till then, it was thought that the cell which was observed by Leeuwenhoek, it was found only in a particular organism or like that. Then Schwann and Schleiden successfully they proposed the cell theory, which states that all living organisms are made up of cells, whether it is unicellular or multicellular, microscopic or macroscopic, they are made up of cells. That is about how cells were discovered. Now, when the cell was first observed, these cells they appeared as small chambers in the microscope. So when they appeared as small chambers, they were called as a cell because cell means a room. So in usually in the prisons, in the jail, the rooms are called as a cell. Cell number 1, cell number 2, like that. So cell means actually a room, another name, another meaning for that. So that is why the cells what they observed in the microscope, they appeared as a small rooms, small compartments. So that is why they named these structures as a cell. So the word is continued and we are following the same word today. So that is about how the cell was discovered and it was named. Then the cell theory was proposed, and after that Virchow and another scientist, Rudolf Virchow, he discovered, or he stated that the cells are capable of cell division. But however, he did not mention about mitosis, meiosis, but he said that the cells are capable to divide, so and new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. That is what Virchow discovered about cells. Now after that, various organelles of the cell were discovered by different scientists, and the smallest cell was found to be mycoplasma. So this is the smallest cell, which is about 0.03 microns or millimeters, millimicrons, and the largest cell is the egg of ostrich. The ostrich's egg is about 6 to 7 inches in size. That is about how the cell was discovered, and the smallest cell today is found to be the cell of mycoplasma. And mycoplasma are the examples of prokaryotes. So that is about 0.3 millimicrons or micrometers, it is also called as. So micrometers or millimicrons. Then egg of ostrich is the largest cell which is existing today, which is about 6 to 7 inches in size. That is about the size of the cell, or what is the discovery of the cell. Now when we study about cell, the cell of a prokaryote, the cell of a eukaryote differs in their structure. We have already studied in the classification that according to Whitaker's classification, which we are following today, living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms. We are following the 5 kingdom classification of Whitaker, R.H. Whitaker, Robert Whitaker. According to that, kingdom Monera, Protista, kingdom Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So the first kingdom Monera is including prokaryotes. The remaining 4 kingdoms, that is Protista, then Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, they are all eukaryotes. So like that, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Now what is a difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell? So prokaryotic cell, we shall see what are the characteristics of the prokaryotic cell. Now according to this Whitaker's classification, all prokaryotes are included under kingdom Monera, and all eukaryotes, they come under Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Now under prokaryotes, that means kingdom Monera, we come across bacteria, cyanobacteria or blue-green algae, and we come across archaebacteria, and also there are mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is an example of prokaryote, Monera, and PPLO, pleuropneumonia-like organisms, they are the examples. So this bacteria, cyanobacteria, archaebacteria, mycoplasma, pleuropneumonia-like organisms, PPLO, are the examples of prokaryotes. So now, studying the structure of a typical prokaryotic cell. Take for example bacteria. So the bacterial cell, suppose this is a bacterial cell or a prokaryotic cell. So a bacterial cell is a prokaryotic cell. The cell is having 3 protective layers. So there are 3 protective layers in this cell. So this is the cell wall, which is made up of different chemicals. So that means it may be mucopolypeptide, it may be mucoprotein or like that, but not cellulose. There is no cellulose in case of prokaryotes. Now outside the cell wall, there is a layer which is called as the glycocalyx. So this glycocalyx is a outermost layer which is protective. So this glycocalyx, which is called as, that layer is different in a different prokaryotes. Now it is the outermost protective layer. So in some, this may be somewhat slimy layer, somewhat smooth. So the glycocalyx is made up of a slime layer in some bacteria or in some prokaryotes. In some other examples, that glycocalyx is somewhat thick and it is somewhat rigid, hard. So then we call that layer as capsule. So the glycocalyx may be a slime layer or it may be a this capsule. Usually in case of parasitic bacteria, pathogenic bacteria, this glycocalyx is capsule. In some other, usually non-pathogenic or non-virulent they are called as. So it is a slimy layer and that is the outermost protective layer of the bacterial cell. Now inner to this, there is the plasma membrane. Now this plasma membrane or the cell membrane, it is called as. So these are the three protective layers. So this plasma membrane is folded like this. So these folds are of different types. So that means they may be somewhat finger-like or they may be somewhat bulged like this. So this is how the plasma membrane is present in the prokaryotic cell. So the plasma membrane, in case of prokaryotes, it is folded inside. So these folds are either somewhat spherical or somewhat elongated tube-like, or they may be branched or they may not be branched. So these folds which are seen, they are called as mesosomes. They are called as mesosomes. So mesosomes are characteristic of prokaryotes. So we find mesosomes only in prokaryotes. When we use the word mesosome, it means it is only in the prokaryotes, like bacteria. So like that, there are specific terms which are confined, which are restricted to that group of organisms only. So previously also such kind of terms we have come across. Now for example, collar cells we have come across. They are found only in phylum Porifera. Flame cells, they are found only in phylum Platyhelminthes. Coralloid roots, they are found only in cycas, gymnosperms. So like that, specific terms are present, and these mesosomes, same way we come across only in the prokaryotes. So mesosomes are folds of the inner folds of the cell membrane, plasma membrane, and these mesosomes are having various functions. They help in the cell wall formation. When the cell divides, the cell wall is formed by mesosomes, and also the formation of this distribution of the DNA. So the DNA which is present in the nucleus, so that DNA undergoes the replication, and the distribution of the DNA takes place by the help of the mesosomes. In addition to that, mesosomes also help in respiration and also in secretion. That is the function of mesosomes, the four important functions. Then as usual there is the cytoplasm. So this is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm contains ribosomes, and there are no mitochondria, no Golgi complex, no endoplasmic reticulum. So this point I had already mentioned when we explained about the classification, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, when we studied the 5 kingdom classification. So prokaryotes don't contain mitochondria, no endoplasmic reticulum, no Golgi complex, but there are ribosomes. So there are freely present ribosomes in the cytoplasm. So the ribosomes are present like this. So these are the ribosomes which are freely present in the cytoplasm. So the ribosomes, again when we come across this, they are of different types in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In prokaryotes we find 70S type of ribosomes. In eukaryotes there are 80S type of ribosomes. That is how the ribosomes differ in their structure, in their property, which is called as the sedimentation property. But however, ribosomes are having the same function in all prokaryotes and eukaryotes, same. They help in the protein synthesis. They are involved in the synthesis of proteins necessary in that cell. Now, in addition to this, in the center, there is the DNA, which is naked, and this DNA is the indefinite nucleus, and hence it is also called as nucleoid, or it is incipient nucleus or indefinite nucleus. There is no nuclear membrane around the nucleus. The nucleus is not surrounded by the nuclear membrane. This naked nucleus, which is called as the indefinite nucleus or incipient nucleus or nucleoid, it is also referred as, it is only pure DNA, and there is no question of chromosomes. So generally when we say cell, we study about chromosomes, isn't it? But here there is no question of chromosomes. Chromosomes are actually, or chromatin, they are actually made up of DNA and proteins. But here there are no proteins, only DNA is present. So chromosome is made up of DNA and proteins in a particular organization, but here we don't find such kind of chromosomes, only pure DNA is present without proteins. However, there may be little amount of proteins, but mostly it is all DNA, and it is naked, it is in contact with the cytoplasm, this is in contact with the cytoplasm. So the naked nucleus, indefinite nucleus, incipient nucleus, that is the about DNA. And ribosomes are freely present in the cytoplasm, and already I mentioned no mitochondria, no endoplasmic reticulum, no Golgi complex. So these are all absent. And actually the function of the mitochondria, so basically we know that mitochondria are called as the powerhouses of the cell. They produce energy, they store energy, and that energy is produced by respiration. So when there are no mitochondria in prokaryotes, now the question arises, how this cell will produce energy and it will store energy if there are no mitochondria. So that function of the mitochondria is taken over by mesosomes. So mesosomes will conduct or will perform the function of mitochondria. So that is why mesosomes they help in cell wall formation, they help in DNA replication, distribution of DNA, then the respiration. Respiration means it is a production of energy by oxidation. So and also secretion, it is the function of this mesosomes. Then another important thing in this prokaryotic cell is, in the cytoplasm there are some circular DNA molecules like this. So these circular DNA molecules which are freely present, they are called as plasmids. So plasmids are circular DNA molecules which are freely present in the cytoplasm. Now again, plasmids are the characteristics of prokaryotes. As we said, mesosome. So these two terms, they are confined only to the prokaryotes. So plasmids are extra chromosomal or extra nuclear circular DNA molecules which are also capable of replication. They are also hereditary units and they are circular in shape. They are the characteristic feature of the bacterial cell or a prokaryotic cell. So these plasmids are very important in the study of genetics and biotechnology. That is about plasmids. And mesosome, about this. So this mesosome, in case of some cyanobacteria like nostoc, and also in case of oscillatoria and all that. So in cyanobacteria, the mesosome store certain pigments, and such mesosomes are referred as chromatophores. That is in case of cyanobacteria. And then so that is about the structure. Now in addition to this, from the cell wall, sometimes there is a long thread-like structure which is called as flagellum. Flagella plural. So sometimes in most of the bacteria, this flagella is present. Flagellum. So and again, when we go into details, the number of the flagella differ from species to species. A bacteria may be having only one or two flagella, or even many flagella in the groups, or there may be many flagella surrounding the cell. Like that, flagella is a long thread-like structure which originates from the cell wall. Now this flagella is having a basal part which is called as the basal body, and there is the filament part, that is the long longitudinal part of that flagellum, and there is the terminal region called as the hook. So like that, the flagellum can be divided into basal body, filament and hook. And in addition to this, from the surface there are some tube-like structures. So these tubular structures are called as pili. So pilus single, pili plural. So pili are small elongated tubular structures which arise on the surface of the cell from the cell wall. And also in addition to this, there are small structures, hair-like structures, which also originate from the cell, but not as long as flagellum. They are very small, short, hair-like structures. So this is a long thread-like structure. So these small hair-like structures, they are called as fimbriae. They are called as fimbriae. So these fimbriae, pili and flagella, they are all extensions on the surface of the cell, whereas the flagellum is the longest, long thread-like structure, whereas pili, they are tube-like structures, means they are also elongated, and tube-like structures which are made up of some protein, type of protein there. And these fimbriae are also small hair-like structures which are small fiber-like structures on the surface of the cell. So this is about the structure of the prokaryotic cell. So the cell membrane, plasma membrane, cell wall and also the glycocalyx. So that is about the structure of a prokaryotic cell. Now when we take a eukaryotic cell, so the eukaryotic cell differs in the presence of the type of the nucleus. In the eukaryotic cell, the nucleus is surrounded by the cell, the nuclear membrane. So this nuclear membrane forms the outer covering of the nucleus, and this nuclear membrane is well developed, and it is called as the definite nucleus in case of eukaryotes. And another important structure is difference is the presence of mitochondria. Mitochondria, Golgi complex and endoplasmic reticulum are present in the eukaryotes, but here there is no mitochondria, Golgi complex and the endoplasmic reticulum. That is the main important difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. Now cell wall is present in eukaryotes, cell membrane is present. Now just about the cell wall and cell membrane. Now this cell wall, when we study, it is a rigid structure which gives a particular shape to that cell. So cell wall is usually a non-living part of the cell, and it is rigid, made up of various chemicals. The shape of the cell is maintained because of the cell wall, and this cell wall is present in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. But however, in some eukaryotes you don't find. For example, Animalia kingdom. In kingdom Animalia there is no cell wall, and this cell wall is found in kingdom Protista, kingdom fungi and kingdom plants. That is cell wall. In case of eukaryotes, the cell wall is made up of cellulose or sometimes hemicellulose or sometimes this another material like pectin. So that is the composition of the cell wall. But in certain lower plants like algae, there usually cellulose is rare but present in some. So the cell wall is made up of a polysaccharide called as galactans or mannans. Means it is a polymer of glucose. That is also the composition of the cell wall in case of algae. That is in case of algae. And sometimes in some plants, not all, in some plant cells, in addition to this cell wall, inner to this, there is one more cell wall called as the secondary cell wall. So in all other cells, there is a common cell wall made up of cellulose or hemicellulose or pectin. In addition to that, in only plants, not all plants, in some plant cells, in addition to this normal cell wall, inner to that there is a heavily thick cell wall which is present, deposited there, and that is called as the secondary wall because it is later formed. So the one which is formed originally or initially, that is called as the primary wall. Inner to the primary wall, the secondary wall is formed. But this secondary wall is made up of lignin or suberin. But the primary wall is always cellulose, hemicellulose or pectin. But in algae, there is only one cell wall made up of galactans and mannans. But in plant cells, in addition to the existing wall which is referred as the primary wall, another thick wall is deposited by the help of lignin and also sometimes suberin. That is the cell wall. And so this is the cell wall. Suppose this is the cells which are formed. Now in plant cells, when we take so this is the cell wall. Now the secondary wall may be present or may not be present. Secondary wall means it is present inside like this. That is the secondary wall, in addition to the primary wall. This is the primary wall, this is the secondary wall. So secondary wall is usually heavily deposited. It is very thick than that of the primary wall. And whether the secondary wall is present or not, plant cells, they are usually having one more layer in between the cells, a common layer. So here, so this one. Now this layer which is present, so if you enlarge that, suppose this is the cell wall, this is another cell. So the two cells, this is the nucleus. Now the two cells are having a common layer in between. So this layer is called as middle lamella. So the middle lamella is a layer in between two adjacent cells. So this is made up of a chemical called as calcium pectate. So this calcium pectate or this middle lamella, it holds or it binds the two cells so that the two cells do not separate easily. So the cells are held up, means the calcium pectate, the middle lamella, acts as a glue or it holds the neighboring cells so that they cannot be easily separated, means they are not easily separated. And that is the middle lamella. So middle lamella is a common structure between two cells, neighboring cells. That middle lamella is concerned to both the cells. It makes the cells to bind each other, to attach each other so that they are not easily separated from each other. That is the middle lamella. And this middle lamella, sometimes there are structures in between. There are some communicating structures in the cell wall through the middle lamella. They are called as plasmodesmata. So plasmodesmata or some, they are connections between two cells. A common, it is a small passage between the two cells. So it is a kind of structure which brings about communication between the two cells. And these may be present or may not be present. That is what are plasmodesmata, which are found in this cell wall, which are also passing through the middle lamellae. So that is about the cell wall. Now coming to the cell membrane. Now what the cell membrane or the plasma membrane is made up of? What is this cell membrane? Now of course cell membrane is a thin layer which protects the cell. Now what actually it is made up of? Now as we said, the cell wall is a non-living rigid structure, and similarly what this cell membrane? Of course the cell membrane is the living component of the cell. So here in a cell, the cell membrane and the other organelles which are present inside, including the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi complex, ribosomes and all that. So this structure of the cell, excluding the non-living component like cell wall and other non-living inclusions of the cell. So the living component of the cell is commonly called as the protoplast or protoplasm. See, cytoplasm means the fluid component in between the organelles. So in between the mitochondria, in between endoplasmic reticulum, in between the Golgi complex, the fluid component which is present is called as the cytoplasm. But protoplasm or protoplast includes the living component of the cell. So the cell membrane is the part of protoplast, but not cell wall, because cell wall is non-living. Cell membrane is living. It performs some physiological functions, physiological activities, and the mitochondria, Golgi, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, all these include the protoplast or protoplasm. So the cell membrane, the structure of the cell membrane was explained by different scientists. So various scientists have explained about the cell membrane, but we are following the structure proposed by two scientists, and that structure is called as fluid mosaic model. So this fluid mosaic model was proposed by two scientists called as Singer and Nicholson. So Singer and Nicholson, they have proposed in the year 1972, they have proposed this structure. So in 1972, Singer and Nicholson have proposed the structure of the cell membrane, what it is made up of. So they called this structure as the fluid mosaic model. So other scientists have also proposed, but we are not following in our syllabus. There is one Robertson who proposed the unit membrane theory. So that is, according to that theory, the explanation is different. So the various scientists, they have proposed their own ideas as to how the cell membrane means what the cell membrane is made up of, or actually what is the structure of the cell membrane. So that is about the cell membrane. So now we shall see what is this fluid mosaic model. Now according to the fluid mosaic model, the cell membrane is made up of phospholipids, proteins and carbohydrates. So in a cell membrane, there are phospholipids arranged in two layers, and there are protein molecules and there are carbohydrate molecules, and also there is certain cholesterol molecules. Now this phospholipid molecules, which are arranged in a two layer, which is called as a bilipid layer, and this layer, now suppose this is the lipids which I am showing here. So these lipids are made up of units which are having a head and a tail. So this is one layer of lipid. Each lipid is having a head and a tail. So this lipid, suppose this is the lipid here, this is one layer. So another layer is like this. This is another layer. Where the head is opposite towards the other molecule, like this. See, this is one layer of lipid and this is another layer of lipid. So each lipid is having a head. So this is the lipid layer, or we can say bilipid layer. Now this is the head region and it is called as hydrophilic head, and this tail is called as the hydrophobic tail. So the cell membrane is made up of bilipid layer. So the hydrophilic head and the hydrophobic tail. So this hydrophobic tail is a polar head and it is non-polar, that means it is having a particular direction. So hydrophilic polar head we can call it as. Hydrophobic non-polar tail. Now this is the bilipid layer. Now in the this bilipid layer there are proteins which are found inside. Now these proteins are of two types. Some proteins are present within the two layers, some are extending outside. So the proteins, suppose these are the proteins just I am mentioning here. So this is one type of protein. So there are also proteins which are extending like this on the surface of the membrane. So this is actually the thickness of the membrane. So when we are showing the membrane here, so when we observe under the electron microscope, the membrane is so much thick. So this membrane, suppose it may be this is the outer side and this is the inner side. So on the free surface, the hydrophilic polar heads are present of the lipid layer. The hydrophobic non-polar tails are inside, away from this outer free surface. Then this membrane contains proteins which are of two types. So this is one type of protein and these proteins are called as integral proteins. So those which are inside the membrane, they are integral. But however, those which are outside, extending outside, they are called as the peripheral proteins. So the peripheral proteins are also inside, but they are projecting out of the bilipid layer. So these integral proteins are within the two layers, but the peripheral proteins, they are on the surface of the membrane. Now sometimes these integral proteins may be like this also, but not completely projecting. They are near the surface like this. So slightly they may be projecting, but not clearly. So partially the integral proteins may be buried inside and the peripheral proteins are completely projecting outside. That is about about the proteins. Now in addition to this, we come across the cholesterol. So the cholesterol molecules. So these cholesterol molecules, they are also found by the side of the lipids. So there are certain cholesterol molecules which are also present inside. Here and there we find cholesterol molecules. So this is the cholesterol. And there are also certain proteins, that means integral and peripheral, carbohydrates. So these carbohydrates are also found on the surface or the inner side. So that carbohydrates are present on the outer surface. Sometimes they are not free carbohydrates, they are polysaccharides and compound sugars they are, like glycolipids or glycoproteins. So certain glycoproteins or glycolipids are present on this. So these may be glycolipid, it may be, or sometimes it may be glycoprotein. So this is on the surface either this side or that side. So here also we may find certain glycoproteins or glycolipids. So glyco means glucose associated with lipid, glucose associated with protein. That is how the cell membrane is having. Now this nature of the lipid which is present here, it is actually called as quasi fluid nature. It is a specific nature of the lipid which is present in the cell membrane. Now because of this quasi fluid nature of the lipids in the cell membrane, so the materials or molecules can be transported across it. So this cell membrane, the molecules can pass into the cell or out of the cell because of the quasi fluid nature of the cell membrane or the lipids in the cell membrane, which enables the movement of the proteins or any other substances within the bilipid layer. And also this ability of this cell membrane to move within the ability of the molecules to move within the membrane, it is measured as the fluidity of the membrane. So the fluidity of the membrane is decided on how much it is capable to allow the molecules to pass through it, and that is about the cell membrane. So this cell membrane, what we study, it is the fluid mosaic model. Remember, so the fluid mosaic model is the one which is proposed by Singer and Nicholson. There are many structures of the cell membrane proposed by different scientists. When we study more about cell membrane, we come across this, but we are not bothered about all the other structures. The one structure which is proposed by Singer and Nicholson, what they call it as the fluid mosaic model of cell membrane, we are following that, or it is believed that the cell membrane is in this structure. So it is according to the fluid mosaic model, a cell membrane or a plasma membrane is made up of a bilipid layer. So bilipid means it is not pure lipid, it is phospholipids. So these are phospholipids, lipids associated with phosphorus. So the phospholipids are in two layers, and these phospholipids are having tail and head. So hydrophilic polar head and hydrophobic non-polar tails. And here hydrophilic means affinity towards water. Hydro means water actually. Philic means affinity. So hydrophobic means opposite, away from. Hydrophobia means fear of water. So generally we can give about this. When a person is fear of water, that means he is having hydrophobia. He is hydrophobic. So when you are fear of water, when you are not interested to go into water, or if you are fear of water, it means you are hydrophobic. So phobic means fear. It can be applied to any term. Philic means affinity towards that. So away from means fear. When you are away from anything means you are fear from that. When you are towards that means you are having affinity towards that. Hydrophilic. So when you are fond of water, it is hydrophilic. So when you see water, if you want to enter into water, if you want to come in contact with water, that means you are hydrophilic. Suppose if there is water, if you are not interested, if you want to keep away from the water, that means if you are somewhat fear of water, means you are hydrophobic. So hydrophobia is one symptom of rabies disease actually. Rabies you might have heard. So that a person who is infected by rabies, he is having hydrophobia. That is one symptom. So this is just example. So like that, phobia means you are fear from anything. So if you are fear from that any animal, means you are phobia from that. For example, rat phobia, cockroach phobia, or cat phobia means whenever you see a rat or a cockroach, if you fear from that, means you are phobia. Sometimes there are individuals when they see a rat or when they see a cockroach, they move towards that. They are cockroach philic and they are rat philic. So like that, the philic and phobia can be used for any purpose in general. So such type of heads and tails are seen in this cell membrane. This is about the structure of the cell membrane. So this is the head region, and so these are the proteins which are integral proteins and which are peripheral proteins. And integral proteins, they are within the bilipid layer. The peripheral proteins means they extend. That means they are out of the surface of the cell membrane. They project from the bilipid layer. And there are certain carbohydrate molecules like glycolipid and glycoprotein on the surface of the cell membrane. And also there are some cholesterol molecules associated with the bilipid molecules in the cell membrane. That is about the structure of the cell membrane, which we call it as the fluid mosaic model proposed by Singer and Nicholson. So Singer and Nicholson, they proposed this to explain the structure of the this cell membrane. So this cell membrane and cell wall is common to both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. But when we come to the other structures inside, so like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria, plastids, nucleus, they are confined only to the this eukaryotes. But in prokaryotes, these are common, and even ribosomes are also common to both. So ribosomes are common to both of this. Now this cell membrane functions, what it does, it helps to transport the molecules into the cell and out of the cell. So the cell membrane is having that capacity. The particles which move into the cell and out of the cell is brought about by this cell membrane. And it also maintains a kind of physical integrity in the cell, and it helps in active transport and selectively permeability, osmosis. So the permeability of the cell is because of the cell membrane, and that process we call it as osmosis. The movement of water from higher concentration to lower concentration across the semi-permeable membrane, selectively permeable membrane, which is the property of the cell membrane. And active transport is another function. Active transport means transportation of molecules by utilization of energy. That is active transport. So without utilization of energy means it is passive transport. So the active transport is brought about particularly in the nephrons of the kidneys, where the energy is utilized and brought about. And also there is a kind of bulk transport of molecules like endocytosis and exocytosis. Whenever some waste materials, excretory materials are to be sent out, that is called as the exocytosis. Endocytosis means they are taken in bulk, in a large mass like food, and this is called as bulk transport by exocytosis and endocytosis. And then there are certain metabolic activities performed by the cell membrane, and also there are certain surface protein markers in the cell membrane. They also help in certain cases, and that is the function of this cell membrane. And when if you take the cell wall, it is also protection, and it maintains a shape to the cell. It gives a shape to the cell, and also it protects the cell from mechanical damage. If there is any mechanical damage to the cell, so it protects that cell from mechanical damage, and also certain infection. Whenever there are certain undesirable molecules, so this cell wall acts as a barrier, and that is the function of the cell wall. So these are the structures of the cell membrane and cell wall. After this, we will be studying about the organelles of the cell, like mitochondria, Golgi, and endoplasmic reticulum.